Now, because I've not got a drawing to work to, and being an idiot, I did not I did not write down what this thing is, this circle. So I'm just going to do a little dimension on there. Just you don't have to do this part. That's me being an idiot. All right. What is the inside of that circle? The line and location. 100. Right. Okay. So the inside of that is 100. So I'm just going to draw. You can just put these things back flat to the screen. It doesn't really matter. In fact, I'm going to do it flat to the screen. If you ever get lost in your UCS and everything else, just type in plan, PLAN, enter, enter. Now you can see something like the handout. You got your two flanges, they're in position, and you've got this piece of arc, which is the center of your circle in between. Now, I'm going to make this quite thin-walled because I didn't really think about it much, and I'm just making these numbers up as I go along. So, on here, I'm going to move that thing out, and I'm going to do my 50, which is half of 100. All right, so there's my first part of my pipe. And the second part of my pipe, and I might have made these holes a little bit too large. I'm going to make them like, and I'm going to put these two big thick flanges on an 1/8 wall tube. All right, so I can do the tube quite simply just by going, see, 1/8 wall tube would be 3.2, so I'm just going to do 3 millimeter. I'm just going to do an offset. I'm going to say 3, then enter. I'm going to left click and I'm going to click again. So you can see my tube is pretty thin. All right, it's pretty small. Now, how do we get this onto there? Because that's all we really need to do. Then we can get rid of the rest of our construction lines. And basically, apart from a little bit of finagling, we're kind of done, right? So it's an even simpler task. Because I don't know if you remember when we were looking at the sweep command, was we were playing around a little bit in one of the classes with the sweep command. That's all we need to do. We can grab an object, which is a 3D object, and it will be once it's swept, any shape, and we can path it down an object, which in this case is just that little quadrant that we cut out of our circle, or not quite a quadrant. So I'm just going to hit the sweep command, and it says select the objects you want to sweep. Well, it's those two. Then I hit the right hand mouse click and enter, and then where is the path is what it's asking for. Well, it's kind of that one. How simple was that? And yes, it's finished apart from putting a little flange stick out on this bottom edge. Okay, so let me just grab this and turn it around and show you. It really is finished. It's a 3D tube. The only thing we're going to do is take out the center part. All right. What do I mean by taking out the center part? Well, if you look at it, the outside tube, right, has to have the inner tube taken away from it. So I'm just going to do a subtraction, and let me just put you into visualize first so you'll see what I'm on about. Okay, there is realistic. You can see it's solid at the moment. It's a tube. It's a 3D flanged tube, but it's solid at the moment. So take it back to that. So we need to do a subtraction just to get the inside of the tube out of the outer side of the tube. So we do subtract, and then we'll say, right, well, that was our outer edge. So left click, right click, and then left click the inside edge, then right click. Now when you go back and you look in the realistic, we've now got a pipe. We've taken the inner away from the outer, and that is our pipe. Cool, huh? Right. Okay. So now that I've turned it around and I don't know where the hell I am, remember, escape. Just do UCS, enter, enter, and that will put us back to the world. Then plan, PLAN, enter, enter. Okay, so that will give you it back in straight Cartesian coordinates. It's dead flat to the screen. We really don't need any of this other workout stuff that we put on there right now. So I can grab that and just delete it. We now have our pipe flange. It's at the degree that we want it. Our pipe is inside of those two flanges. The flanges were mirrored around its center line. And the only thing on that drawing left to do would be regards to that bottom part. And by bottom part, let me just move this thing over here and show you. Okay. This bottom part here, okay, there is a little step out which has an external circle and an internal circle based on the center of the bottom flange. Okay. So how would you do that? That one, again, is not too hard. Let me just get this thing off of here. 3D orbit, turn it around. We basically just want to put our UCS on this bottom face. I say basically because I only really want a general direction. So we could use the center of this, we could use the top part of that, and then we could use the quadrant over here. I normally work with quadrants, and remember with your object snaps, and that's these little things down here. There is your quadrant, and it's the 4 cardinal points of the circle. The outside of that flange is a circle. So we can use that for positioning in our UCS, like we did when we were doing our dice. Okay. So let me just get that off screen. Let me set up the UCS, and you'll see how easy it is. Then I'll leave it because it's a very long video. So I'm just going to go in now, go down to my command bar, click it, UCS, enter. Now I'm going to use a command which is not on that list. If you remember, it is the 3P. That stands for 3-point command. Okay, and I'm going to hit enter. Now it's going to say, where is my origin point? Well, it's pretty simple. My origin point, I want to get it right on that center point. Can you see if I hit the outside of that circle, I get my green center line up? Bink, it's done, right? That's my origin. Now it wants to know where the positive of the X will be. Well, I want it on the quadrant down here. I want to have my X going in this direction, and my Y want to go in that direction, and I want my Z coming straight out the tube. Okay, so I'm going to use one of the quadrants. So I'm just going to type in Q, U, A, enter. Go near the edge of that, and there's my X. See the quadrant command? And left click. Now it wants to pin whereabouts that goes in angular. I'm going to go Q, U, A again, come towards the top of that, and bing, done. Now, I can hear you saying, well, you haven't done the little flange yet. Well, now that you've got the UCS on there, it's as simple as anything. So let me just show you one of the circles, and I'll leave you to figure the rest out yourself, because I don't want to do everything. Like, I show you everything. So let me just go back to the home menu, go to the circle, and now that we've got this thing, let me just get to the center point. Bink. There's my circle, and it's exactly the right part, right? So it's right at the right aspect. So if I do QUA again for quadrant and pick it, it's dead on the inside of that, right? I can right, so I can do my offset, leave it at my 3mm, because that's all I really want on this thing. I can grab my little line there, right click, cannot offset that object. Oh, I think I just picked the wrong thing. You get the general idea. Let me just try to grab. Ooh, can I actually grab that? Right, so my 3mm, I'm going to come in. Wow, it doesn't like me. Oh, there we go. That one there we go, and click. Right, so I'm just pushed it out a little tiny bit. Now I can grab those objects and just extrude them, take the inner from the outer, and you'll end up with a little stubby sticking out on the bottom. Okay, so Apart from doing that one, and remember, whenever you set up a UCS, it's always good practice to save it. So you can save your UCS and restore your UCS. But just saying, I've just done a little stubby there and just unioned it all together. And that's one thing we haven't done yet. Let me go to 3D Tools, and I'm just going to grab the union command. And just for now, let me just do this. I'm just going to grab that, and that. I would click my stubby as well. But basically, I would union everything together so it comes up like a solid object. Now you can see that I didn't put much thought in how big my how big my holes were going to be in my flange, because they're right near this edge. But let me just show you something on the actual filleting, because there are fillets on these things. I'll have to put a very small radius on there because, you know, I don't want to go too much into that hole or it might object to it. But basically you can fillet a 3D object just the same way as you can a 2D object. Let me just grab the fillet command, and yeah, they are very, very close, which is a pain in the butt. But let me just grab it anyway. I'm going to grab that line. All right, so I just left clicked on that flange. I haven't got a radius set up yet. Okay, my fillet radius, it says enter fillet radius. I'm going to do something silly like 0.2, right? I mean, I know that's a ridiculously small radius. You probably won't even see it, but I put my holes in the wrong place, all right? Then I just hit enter, right? If it hasn't picked the whole circle, which it has, I could hit chain and then pick the other parts of the circle, or I can just hit enter again. Now, I know that, see, it's a rad, right? So if you've already got your rads on your flanges and you want to put holes in there, make sure your holes are small enough they're not going to interfere with the radiuses. But I also understand that there is a rad on the outside of this thing too, so let me do that again, this time not with a ridiculously small fillet radius. I'm going to do one a little bit bigger. So let me grab fillet. I'm going to take my R, enter. I'm going to make that I don't know, 2. I'll make that 2. Right, so I've got a 2 rad. I'm going to grab that line there, which is the outside of my object, enter, enter, and hopefully you can see it. So that's how you would put your radii on that are required on the flanges too. Obviously position your holes a little bit better than I did, so think it through first. But basically, yeah, that's it. That is a brief explanation, even though it's like nearly 30 minutes long, a brief explanation on how to use the sweep command, a recap on the array command, and how to work with the UCS and apply things like the little flanges and things that you'll get on the bottom. Well, I hope that helped. That's the video for this week. The 2D drawing you shouldn't have too much of a problem with, I don't think. The 3D I just wanted to cover. And on the second one, which is the pivot plate, it's very much like a lot of the other exercises where we're extruding into and out of the cutting plane, right, the drawing plane. So you just extrude your bosses up, and you just extrude the base body down, and the rest is just adding fillets. Remember that the chain command is there if you need to chain the edges of a fillet together. And you can see by the bottom of the handout on the adjustable pivot plate. Let me just get that thing up and pull it on the screen. If you could look at the 3D model at the bottom, I just done that, right? So I hit that. These circles aren't much of a problem. These should completely go around. You can put your pivot, you put your fillets on there. With these, you might find that you'll just get that bit, but if you hit the C for chain and then touch that line, it should automatically put the other line in too, but it knows that you want everything that's touching this circle. And then just hit enter and your fillets will go in. It's as simple as that. Well, that's it for this video, and I'll catch you in class. Bye.